2020. What a terrible, terrible, terrible year.
I thought it was a pretty good year.
Now, for gamers, this was a time for me where I probably played the most games in a single year since I was a kid. So 2020, in the end, thank you for letting me play as many games as I could.
How many of these games actually came out in 2020, though?
Like 2. Welcome to the Game Raiders podcast. I am your host, Sergio, and I'm here with my co-host, Drew.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And today we're talking about our top 10 games of 2020 that we played for the first time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily games that came out in 2020,
right,
but just games that we played for the first time.
When you run your own podcast, you can make the rules.
Also, be known, these are not the only games I played. I replayed a lot of games.
Yes.
I replayed the first 2 Halos.
These are just the ones that we felt were most...
Yeah. Replayed Gears of War.
Our favorites, basically, yeah.
I replayed Resident Evil a lot of times.
Yeah.
What else did I replay? Hellblade. Yeah, I've played a lot of games. Roller Coaster Tycoon for a bit. All right.
Back in our RC life.
We'll just start off with our list.
Yeah.
We're going to have Drew. You're going to list your top 10. We'll
yeah.
discuss each one, basically how you felt about it, when you played it, stuff like that.
I felt some things, man. So
I know for your list, though, they're not any particular order.
No. So my list, this is not... I didn't, rank them as, because I don't... How can you rank your children? You know,
I rank my children pretty
I love them all equally.
I worked really hard on this ranking system.
So the first one that I want to start with is God of War, which 2018 God of War. Man, I absolutely fell in love with this game the minute I started playing it, just because of the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, his son. The way that relationship deepens and ebbs and flows over the course of the game.
I think maybe we should, before we continue, straight up spoilers. We're just gonna talk spoilers throughout this.
Oh yeah, thing. Spoiler alert!
So
sorry,
you can totally go 100%. Just let it rip with your spoilers.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Fair enough. So the way their relationship grows, but then also it's just the gameplay is just great. It's a nice extension, reinvention of the God of War formula. It's still brutal. You're still hacking up, creatures left and right and doing all these gory finishing moves and stuff like that. It's just from an over-the-shoulder perspective now. But also has, a bit of depth and, there's a little bit of, you got to kind of think tactically and, about your environment, about the kind of equipment that you have. There's some light RPG elements to this game. So you kind of have to do a little bit of management there. And I think it just came together all in a nice, concise package that I was just thoroughly happy to continue playing. I never felt I never got to a point in the game where I was I'm really burnt out, or I'm really... I felt there were nice breaks in between where there was usually an important story beat, and then you had a little bit of time to explore. And then you would continue on to the next big story beat, and then you had some time to explore and do side quests and whatnot. I never got bored. I never got burnt out. I was always entertained. I was invested in the story. It's one of the games that I would probably just recommend anybody. Even if you're I recommended it to you for the longest time, and you don't even play PlayStation games all that much. And I was like, Sergio, you need to play this game. Yeah. And so I would recommend it to anybody, regardless of whether you're just an Xbox person or just a PlayStation person, that you need to play God of War 2018.
Yeah. And I'm going to hold off my thoughts, because this is also...
Yeah, because, actually, a lot of the games that we have on our list are a little bit similar.
I think only 2 of them, or maybe 4 games on this
list.
Yeah. 40% of our list is the same.
But yeah, so going off of that, and you'll notice a lot of the games that I picked are a little bit more heavy on the story side, or a little bit more open. The next game I got is...
number 2 on your list.
Again, not in any particular order. Last of Us Part 2. Because of and this is strictly because of the story and the characters. The gameplay has gotten to a point for me where I'm a little bit burned out on it. However, I think the narrative that they're telling here with Ellie and kind of the continuation of the of that big like emotional ending of The Last of Us Part 1 really just that's been the thing that's kind of kept me going throughout the entire thing. Is I want to see Ellie's journey continue and get to a point and like get to the goal line essentially. And I do think the new characters that they also introduced, and like even some of the side characters from the first game that we did, like Tommy, Joel's brother, gets more time in this game than he ever did in the first one, and I think that's great.
It's because Joel didn't get any time in this game.
Yeah, rip Joel. But yeah, because I think because Tommy is Nolan North, right? I think.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, no. Nolan North was the cannibal in the first game. Never mind. Yeah, the cannibal. He's back. No. But yeah, it's nice to see Tommy get some more time. The new characters I actually really enjoyed. And
so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You haven't finished this game yet.
No.
So why is it on your list?
I think because...
Just finished you say you think you're almost done with the game.
Yeah, I'm over halfway done.
I know where you're at, and you're not. You're about maybe you're halfway.
Well, maybe halfway, but like I think because I am so invested to, like, I know right now I'm kind of in a slump with it, but I think that's kind of a combination of the gameplay, and I think it's also kind of a combination of the maybe Naughty Dog's trying to tell me something. I don't know. Like just because of the switch in perspective. Because like, spoiler alert again, the first half of the game you're basically playing as Ellie, and then it switches over to where you're playing as this character that's introduced in this game as Abby. Mm-hmm. So you kind of see the two sides of the conflict. And I think like I have to, and while I didn't initially, I was like, I don't want to fucking play as Abby. She's the bad girl. She's the villain, like. And then as I started to play through like the beginning parts of her chapters, it was like I started like kind of relating to Abby a little bit, and I started kind of like, I kind of started seeing not her side necessarily, but I was like, it opened up like her character to me essentially, and I don't know if I like that. Like I don't know if because now I'm trying to wrestle with the fact that, do I like the villain? Like, or not necessarily the villain, but do I like the antagonist? Like, there's a lot of complicated emotional stuff happening in this game, actually, and I think...
And you're being no likey.
And yeah, my brain is just basically like... It's a combination of the gameplay getting old and a combination of... that kind of the story kind of taking me to a place that maybe I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, that I'm kind of like taking a break right now from it, but I'm going to jump back in and finish it, and because I need to see this through. It's one of those things like where you have like a big journey and you get to like this arduous kind of like challenge. It's one of those things you need to see it through to the end, because then you feel accomplished and like you did it, and feelings and emotions. So, I even having not finished the game yet, still, I would still put it on the best games that I've played this year, just because of all of that.
Okay, cool.
Essentially.
What's next on your list?
So the next game that I have on the list is a 4-year-old game. Which is, and it's funny because you played Doom Eternal for the first time this year, which came out this year.
Yeah.
I was playing 2016 Doom while you were doing that.
Doom 2016 is hands down one of my favorite games of all time.
This is one of the best games that I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like no meme. Like actually, it is so fucking good to just take an imp and just rip it apart with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Like, it feels so fun. This is my catharsis. Like, where somebody may have like something like Animal Crossing or like Stardew Valley or something like that. This is my catharsis. This is my like like when I'm having a bad day, or I'm feeling like a little bit depressed, or maybe it's just been one of those days. This is the game that I would like to go to unwind and just literally just run around. There's nothing really. I mean, there is a story, but there's nothing really too complex happening here apart from find gun, kill demons.
Yep.
Like that's. But what it lacks in the complexity, it has. It's the gameplay is tight. It's focused. It is all developed around you as the player having fun by killing things, yes, but having fun. There's little like collectibles and Easter eggs scattered throughout each level, but it doesn't get to the point where it's like overbearing or you feel like you're missing a whole lot and like you have to like spend hours hunting down each collectible and stuff like that, and there's like this checklist, it's just. It's kind of what I imagine the perfect game to be. It's short enough to where you don't feel burnt out, but it's long enough to where you actually feel like you got your value out of it. And I definitely feel like I got my value out of it, especially because I bought this on sale for $6. Like,
I got this like I think like the week it launched.
Yeah. I mean, even
it was
for
worth it for $60.
I mean, even for $60, it's still worth it. But for $6, you are literally stealing money out of stores, basically.
You're stealing money from id and Bethesda.
Yeah, exactly.
You better write my check for $54.
Basically.
The music.
The music too.
One of the best music soundtracks is Doom and Doom Eternal. Yeah. Just sit down. Pop it on, and then you just rock out for 2.5 hours.
If you're like a metalhead, or you just like to shred, or whatever, just pop on a headset, throw on the Doom or Doom Eternal soundtracks, and just fucking let it rip for like a couple hours. But yeah, it's kind of what I imagine the perfect game to be, almost. And then So kind of at the opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess, in terms of like, on the one hand, you have a tight, focused, single-player shooter game that is not terribly long, to a giant open-world third-person action-adventure game with tons of collectibles. I guess I just run all over the spectrum. But anyway, I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Unity. And I know this.
Which one is this one?
So this is the one in Paris. This is the one that
Origins.
Yes, this was the one that got a lot of flack at launch because it was riddled with like hilarious graphical bugs, like faces like missing and stuff like
Cyberpunk.
that. Yes, Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, it invades everything now. But yeah, so, but then afterwards, Ubisoft went back and they patched it a lot, and the patches still haven't fixed everything. There's still like tiny bugs there, but no like big graphical things that I've run into. And I'm comfortable in saying I think this is the like gameplay wise, like because the fantasy of Assassin's Creed is parkour, running across rooftops, and then jumping off and like stabbing a dude like in the throat or something with your hidden blade. I think this is the game that captures that to the best extent currently.
Before they abandoned it.
Before wait, what do you mean?
You haven't played Origins or Odyssey?
Oh yeah, like I mean,
it's not really much. It's not focused on the
it's
assassinating.
It's more open world stuff. Yeah,
and then here Valhalla is really good also. So,
but yeah, it's like this was to me, this is the peak, I guess, of the Assassin's Creed fantasy. Because then Syndicate was just whatever.
Was that after this? Or?
Yeah.
So are you going to go back and play Syndicate?
I don't know if I am or not, but like...
Because you should go back and play Origins and Odyssey, I think.
because Syndicate, I tried playing Origins, I just couldn't get into it.
Origins is so good.
I might play Valhalla, but I don't know.
I loved Origins, and I loved Odyssey. I thought, because so for me, I played the very first Assassin's Creed game, the very first one.
Yeah, I did
That's
too.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't play 2.
Oh, that
3.
was it?
Yeah, I didn't play 2, 3, Black Flag.
I played them all up until
Syndicate, Unity.
This one.
And then I went back and I got Origins. For some reason, I don't know why. I think because Odyssey was coming out, I was like, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
I looked it up and they're like, you can just play Origins because it's kind of like a reboot of the series and whatever. New main protagonist. I was like, okay. In the modern times, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back and I'll play Origins.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. Origins is great. And then I think you should. I think you should just sit down and just try to get, because I think for me it was like I think it took me a bit to get into it, but once I got into it, I just couldn't stop playing it. I beat it, and I got Odyssey, and I beat that, and Odyssey is great also. And I'm gonna get Valhalla whenever I get a Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I played all of the games up until this game just because of all the bad PR about the graphical bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, even then they were saying, I think because Unity and Syndicate were the low points of terms of like
series. These were the games that basically killed the franchise until Origins.
Yeah, and then Origins and Odyssey, I feel like have revamped and revived back in the series.
They breathed new life into
acclaimed
it
again. And
but I would still say this game. I mean, I've been playing both this and Black Flag again on and off. I would say Black Flag as a game is more.
That's the pirate one, right?
That's the pirate one. I would say that has a little bit more entertainment value just because, who doesn't want to be a pirate? Mm-hmm. But this one, I think, is a culmination of everything that was being built up at that time by Ubisoft with the series, because like the combat is actually challenging, and you can use 2 gadgets at the same time, which none of the other games lets you do for some fucking reason. I don't know why. The parkour is slick. There's like unique animations for like sometimes when he's when Arno, the protagonist, is running up like a building or something like that, he'll get to the top, he'll get to the lip of a roof, and he'll do like a little spin, kind of onto the roof. And speaking of Arno, I mean, like he's kind of like Ezio 2.0 almost. In the start, like he's kind of like funny and cocky and all this stuff, but he has one of the more unique, I think, storylines because he's kind of got like a Romeo and Juliet thing going on with this like Templar, and over the course of the game you see him kind of grow. So he starts out, he learns that his father was an assassin, he joins the Assassin Brotherhood, right? He goes through all of these complications by, because like he knows, like he's in love with the Templar, so he like they can't be all bad, and he goes through this kind of disillusionment with the Assassin Brotherhood, and then the epilogue DLC, Dead Kings, literally opens with him as a distraught alcoholic, who is it's basically like the One Last Job, story. One Last Ride thing. And then over the course of that DLC, he like gets his groove back essentially. Like he becomes he gets that reignitement of hope, in his soul that he was lacking at the end of the game. And it kind of ends on this like bright bright spot in the DLC. I would encourage, like, if you've been putting this game off because you heard like, oh, it was so bad, it was super bad. Like, there's still it's an Ubisoft game. There's still a ton of collectibles. The map is completely blanketed. Yeah. But I would still say
check it out.
I would still say check it out. This is one of the stronger entries in the series.
My suggestion to you is
check out
Origins. Go back to Origins and try it again.
I don't wanna.
It's really good, and then also get Odyssey because Odyssey is also really good.
Yeah,
that's my suggestions.
I'm thinking about getting into Valhalla for sure. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and play Origins.
You should do it. I'm telling you, man, it's really good. What's your next game on your list?
Okay, so this is kind of a I guess it's kind of like the black sheep of the list because it's not a full game. Or some people may view it as not a, like a actual game or whatever. But I'm going to say the Destiny 2 Beyond Light expansion. And this is the reason why it's on my list. Is because they did such a radical... they made a radical decision to take out half of the, or over half of the, I guess I should say, content that was already existing in the game and put it in the vault, essentially, so that they have room to build new stories and content and stuff like that. So it almost feels like, and then couple that with the new upgrade, the new power upgrade system, Stasis, which is the first new element in the game since the very first Destiny. We've always had the same 3 elements. But now coupled with that, it almost does feel like an entirely new game because like the gameplay has changed, the economy has changed, the way that Bungie are telling stories now since they separated from Activision has changed. Like, it is like Bungie leaving Activision, I think, was one of the best moves that any company has ever made. And I think it shows in the product. Like, I know some people may not be happy with, like, occasionally there are, various, power creep, or, there may not be enough weapons in the game sometimes or whatever. But I think Bungie has demonstrated, and they've already announced that they're going to be, continuing Destiny 2 for at least, like, 2 more years, So I think they've demonstrated at this point that, and especially after last year's expansion, Shadowkeep, they've demonstrated that they are competent enough to run the Destiny ship on their own.
I know very little about Destiny, so I can't really add much to this conversation.
Yeah, I would say, like, if anybody is like, I wouldn't say necessarily Beyond Light is the... I know the new player experience, from what I've heard, has been revamped as well, so I know it's better than what it used to be. There is going to be a huge learning curve for new players if you're, like, just jumping into Destiny. If you don't know anything about the universe, however, I will say it is one of the best universes to get lost in. There's a lot of really cool, interesting lore here. So if you're thinking about playing, and, like, Game Pass, you... because you're always talking about Game Pass users get everything for the price they pay for Game Pass. Like, you don't have to pay separate for expansions or whatever. You're just going to get the expansion, unlike the rest of us people who actually put money towards the company. But yeah, so, like, I would say it's definitely a good value on Game Pass. If you're just buying it piecemeal, it'll be up to you, I guess, whether you feel comfortable paying the $40 every year for a big expansion and then $10 every 3 months for a season. But I will say, if you it is free to play, though, if you are just curious and you want to check it out. Say check it out.
You talking to me?
No, I'm just saying in general, like, to anybody who you can play Strikes, you can play Crucible, you can play Gambit.
I played the original Destiny for a little bit. I just couldn't get it. I'm not a big looter shooter person, so
yeah, and some people just aren't, and that's fine. But yeah, I will say, like, I've stuck by Bungie this much, and I want to make sure that they get the credit that they're due.
Yeah. The rumor for a while was that Xbox was going to buy Bungie back, but
we'll see. Anything can happen, I guess. But
come back home, baby. The next Halo. You got the next Halo.
So, the next game that I've got on my list is Final Fantasy 15. This is another game that... Well, this is a game that came out in
2015?
I think it came out in 2016, I want to say. But anyway, so...
Did you beat this one?
I have beaten this
with
now.
With all the DLC, too?
With all the DLC. And so I'm not really a huge Final Fantasy fanboy.
Uh-huh.
You know, like so my introduction to my first introduction to the series was through just Kingdom Hearts, because I'm a Disney fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this game's got Disney characters. Wait, who are these anime boys? Like,
Sora is not a Final Fantasy character, right?
No, he's an OC. Yeah.
Okay.
He's an original character for those who don't know the lingo. But yeah, so 15 was actually the first Final Fantasy game that I've played. And it also helps because it's the most recent, right? It's the most modern in terms of like sound and, graphic design and, all that kind of good stuff. It looks pretty. It looks pretty. It sounds pretty. The gameplay, I know, has been kind of a mixed bag for like fans of the series because like they're like it kind of it tries to combine the like kind of turn-based and active combat systems that some of the games have gone through. And I think it does it well enough. I played it on the mode where it was the combination of the two. I know you can do like either active or you can do just, waiting or whatever. I mean, the story itself is not going to like it probably throw anybody for like a loop or anything. It's kind of predictable and it's kind of cheesy and, it's filled with all this like like really not pretentious, but like just so dramatic, like flair, melodramatic. Yeah, melodramatic flair and all all this kind of stuff. But like, I mean, when I was playing it, because like it's just you and you got 3 other of your friends in your party, and you're just having a road trip and you're just going along,
just
fighting
3 best friends, having a good time.
4 best friends having a good time, rolling along, fighting monsters, trying to prevent the end of the world. Normal guy things. Like they're so cute. They're so cute together. Like their relationship is the real reason like you should play this game probably. Also for the cup noodles, if you don't know, cup noodles are in the game. They're a meal you can eat for a status boost, and it's glorious.
Dope. What's your next game on your list, man?
So the next game I got on my list is Dragon Age Inquisition. Finally finished this game this year. It is okay. It's not
okay. It made your list.
It is.
Were you just struggling trying to fill your list out?
not. I wasn't trying to just fill my list out. No, I mean it is, but it's among one of the better games I've played this year for sure. I would put it like just below Origins, I guess, in terms like ranking the games in the series.
But you haven't Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah, Dragon Age Origins. I would put Dragon Age Origins at the top, and then Inquisition below that, and then like 15 steps down, I'd put Dragon Age 2. The story of this game is also kind of predictable, and your character is the chosen one archetype essentially, and you've got to stop the end of the world because you were chosen to do this by the gods. This game also takes it kind of light on the RPG stuff. Like it kind of tries to strike a balance between the more RPG focused tactical combat of the first game and the more action focus of the second game, and tries to marry those two together. In some ways I think it works. In some ways, like the combat I do think works for the most part. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily like the way that character customization is done in this game because all of your upgrades come from just your ability trees and not like there's no like traditional like level ups in this game. You're not like assigning points to anything.
You also can't design your own penis in this game.
Yeah, no penis designing, unfortunately. But I will say what really surprised me and made me excited and kept me playing was the item crafting in this game is very extensive. There is a lot of stuff you can do to customize you and your party's equipment. In addition to like, or including like dyeing, you know, all the colors and everything like that. But yeah, I just had a blast because like I'm one of those people who has to go through an RPG and like find the best gear and, you know, get all that, get like the best equipment so I can like min-max my character to the best they can possibly be. And I just had a blast going through like all of the merchants and finding the recipes and then getting the materials to make said recipes and just like crafting an ultimate set of like when I was going to start hunting dragons, like I would have to like make myself some like decent dragon hunting armor. So I will say that is like the biggest pro about this game. The DLC is also pretty good. Like there's one that's basically just like a dungeon crawl DLC. They have kind of like flavors to them. There's one that's like a dungeon crawl DLC. There's one that really takes a deep dive into the lore of like because your character is an inquisitor, or is their title, and there was an inquisition before, and so one of the DLCs really deep dives into the lore behind that. And then one of the DLCs kind of serves to set up Dragon Age 4. There's a really good story twist in that DLC that I don't want to spoil. I know the game has been out.
About spoilers. Though.
I know,
it's
but
okay spoil.
I want people to experience the game.
You gave a spoiler warning at the beginning of this episode.
I know.
I want to know. Tell me the twist.
Okay. So one of your party members, his name is Solus. He's an elf. And as you go throughout the game, he's also like really into the Fade, which is this realm that's like, it's like a dreamlike kind of area where all of the spirits reside, essentially. And like the Fade and the material world have always been separate until the beginning of this game, when rifts start to tear apart throughout the sky and spirits begin to seep into the material world. And Solus is like with you since the beginning. He's like one of the first party characters you get. He's with you since the beginning of the game, and he has a lot of insight on the Fade because he takes trips there and he's talked to spirits and he knows what they're about, essentially.
Yeah.
He becomes like, if you're playing like I was playing basically the kind of like good natured, I was playing a mage. And me and him got along actually really well. Like he's just kind of all about knowledge and, you know, and talking to spirits like they're actually people, you know. It's very interesting. And it turns out you get to the end of the game and it turns out that Solus is actually this ancient elven god named the Dreadwolf.
Oh, wow.
And he wants to destroy the barrier between the Fade and the material world, so it's all just one. So like spirits and humankind coexisting, or not necessarily humankind, but like I think he's specifically just elves and spirits. But anyway, and he ends up not necessarily turning on you. He doesn't kill you per se, but he does remove your hand, or at least he did in my playthrough. He removes the hand that bore your mark. That was how you sealed the rifts, and essentially announces his plan. And I was like, "Bro, we were friends. What? Why you do this?" And I mean, yeah, that twist really, I was like, "Holy shit, what just happened?" Like. But yeah, so I will say, that's the main reason why I'm excited to play Dragon Age 4. But, so if you're wondering what's going to happen in Dragon Age 4, you need to play this game.
Alright, what's your next game on your list?
My next game, again, I think this is one we shared together. Marvel's Spider-Man came out in
Insomniac's
Marvel's
Sony exclusive
Spider-Man. It came out in 2018 as well, alongside God of War. So 2018 was a good year, I guess, for Sony. But yeah, I mean, I've played a bunch of Spider-Man games. Like I played the N64 game. I played the movie tie-ins. I played 1 and 2. I didn't play 3. I played Web of Shadows, which is also a really good Spider-Man game. And like it never gets old. Just like web swinging through New York, just at whatever time of day it is. I mean, sunset is really cool because like you get the sun going down. It's just picturesque. It's all this, and but yeah, man, like, God, traversing in this game is so fucking fun. Like just web zipping around, doing cool tricks off of buildings and shit like that. The combat is so much fun. You're just like, you like duck through a guy's legs, kick him in the back, and then you shoot your impact web over at a dude to stick him to a wall.
It's really Arkham-ish.
Yeah, it's very Batman Arkham Asylum in the combat, which is also funny because this isn't the first Spider-Man game to do it, because the Amazing Spider-Man 1 game was the first one to really kind of tap into that Arkham-style combat. But I think also what sets this game apart versus that game is this game is a little bit more colorful, I would say. It's also more, I guess, nostalgic, in a way, because there are so many characters from Spider-Man's history and all of the costumes and...
It's the same thing for Batman.
Huh?
I think the Arkham games.
No. I'm saying
Spider-Man game.
Compared to the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I was saying.
I think about Spider-Man.
No, not compared to Batman. No.
Wow, I'm about to throw a fist.
No. I love Batman Arkham Asylum. But yeah, like, but like this game.
No, hands down, it's the best Spider-Man game.
Yeah, like the story ends in such an emotional way. It also sets up Spider-Man Miles Morales, obviously, which is out now.
It's a pretty good game.
And yeah, I think like
it makes you feel like you're Spider-Man.
I've been trying to avoid saying that for so long.
I know. What's the next game on your list?
But yeah. So my next game is Resident Evil 2, which I believe...
Now, does it make you feel like Leon Kennedy?
No. I would say if I wanted to feel like Leon Kennedy, you need to play Resident Evil 4. But...
but it makes you feel like Resident Evil 2.
This is one of the best remakes that has ever been done.
I mean, I feel like this game. We've heard a whole episode of Resident Evil.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Resident Evil.
This game, I think, is one of the best games that's been made in a couple of years.
There's a lot of content here. There's 2 campaigns for each character. There's several side missions for characters that you wouldn't even like
the mayor's daughter.
Yeah, like you get to play as the gunsmith.
Yeah.
Kendo. As he's struggling with his daughter's infection.
And then there's Fourth Survivor.
You get to play as Hunk, classic minigame.
There's Tofu mode.
I mean, there's just so much here, and it's both reverential of the original while also changing up the like kind of feelings or the atmosphere of the original by way of the new camera angle and also just different placements of items.
No tank controls anymore, baby.
Yeah, no tank controls. It feels a lot better to play, for sure. I'm
excited to see what they can do with Resident Evil 4 in this style.
Yeah.
I know you're not excited for a remake because you think Resident Evil 4 is like
Resident Evil's perfect. Don't touch it.
But I think I'm excited to see what they can do. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna probably add missions, take away missions, change the story a little bit. I think adjusting the character designs of Leon to match the Leon from this game. And maybe they'll age up the president's daughter. I don't know.
This game
make it less cheesy in a way.
I mean, this
No-
game
no
was
line
just
about bingo,
so.
right?
This game was just so requested for so long. Like it's hard to put into words exactly like how you feel about it, but yeah, basically, if you're a fan of Resident Evil, just buy Resident Evil 2 remake, no doubt. Like, if you want to go on to the 3 remake, but you have to play Resident Evil 2 remake. Like, it is no question.
And what is your last game on your list? Again, not in any order.
Last game on my list, not in any order. I love them all equally. Is Red Dead Redemption 2. And boy howdy,
Yeehaw Skyrim.
let's get rowdy. I mean, yeah, like this is. I mean, they could have just made the title of the game like Cowboy Life Simulator 2018 or whatever. Like literally, this game is the most. I think it's one of the most immersive games I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like just all of the attention to detail, all of the like maintenance you need to do on your guns so they don't jam or get rusty. You gotta take a bath occasionally, or people will comment on you smelling. You gotta take care of your camp of people with like hunting and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel like a chore because you really like start to like these people, especially like when you start. It's kind of funny also when you're interacting with like John Marston because he's the protagonist from the first game. It's like I'm gonna play as you in the future. Like, you know, you want to take care of him because he's your protagonist.
You're
gonna
die.
Yeah, and then but Arthur is also just like a really cool character in his own right. And I mean, I think the voice actor, like he won the performance of the year, right, for at the Game Awards in
Shoot me, I don't know.
2018 or 2019 for that. But yeah, like this is, and also you have a whole online segment if you want to do that. And
now you can buy it separately.
Huh?
Now you can.
Well, now you can buy it separately. Yeah, now you're gonna be able to play it if you don't want to just play Resident Evil 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2. I would still recommend you play the story because, and the story has another good twist at the end too, where, you know, at the end, Arthur. Well, okay, so spoiler alert. Over the course of the game, Arthur contracts tuberculosis. And there's actually a couple of different ways the ending can change. He can either go out heroically sacrificing himself again, essentially, or he can just die a greedy old miser. But either way, he still dies of tuberculosis, and you actually get to take control of John Marston at the end of the story, and you get to roam around all of the original Red Dead Redemption map, which is so fucking cool. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, it's hard to talk about these games because like they've just had so much praise heaped on them. It's like, what more can you add?
Yeah,
you know, like, yeah, it's just a fun fucking game. Go play it. You know, yeah.
All right, so your list.
What's your list, Sergio?
Well, of your list, there was one game that came out in 2020, and then a DLC pack that came out in 2020, and that's it.
Yep.
Do you have any honorable mentions or anything, or?
Honorable mention.
No.
Among Us, I guess.
That's my honorable mentions. Among Us.
Yeah, I haven't played Hades yet, which I know everybody's like, gotta play Hades. I
haven't played Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima either. I guess honorable mention to not Assassin's Creed, the other AC, Animal Crossing, I guess. Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
What you got, bud?
I'm going to start in reverse order.
Okay.
I did rank mine. I went and spent a lot of time thinking about their places and what I considered my favorite games and stuff that I played this year.
I put no time and effort.
I would be in 9 of these 10. Because I'm currently playing one of them. And actually, that's going to be my number 10 spot is the game I'm currently playing. So it could change. It could leave my top 10 or move up. Is Death Stranding. Walking Man Simulator, Postman Simulator. It's a fun game.
Norman Reedus Simulator.
Yeah. I like it a lot. I mean, where you were saying, we're like with Doom, where you could just sit down and just tear demons apart. And it's like relaxing. this game for me is kind of like a relaxing because it's literally just it's beautiful landscapes and you're walking a package and you deliver the package and then you walk back.
Yeah.
But then of course there's you got the BTs and you got Norman Reedus talking to you and then you got a baby you're attached to and then you got terrorists and stuff like that. I mean, it's a really cool, interesting. It's an interesting game for sure.
Yeah.
I really dug it. I mean, I'm digging it. I was hesitant to play it originally just because I heard all the reviews like, oh, it takes like 30 hours until it gets good, and I thought it was actually pretty good right from the beginning. I don't know if it was just like things they fixed in patches or anything like that in terms of like making it easier, but yeah. Anything to add to that, Drew?
I don't. I watched a friend play a little bit of Death Stranding. I couldn't really get into it myself. But yeah, I mean, it's a game by Kojima that is confusing.
I mean, I'm really digging it. I really liked Metal Gear Solid 5, I think was the one. Yeah, that's one I played on Xbox. And then I really dug it. And I was actually always looking forward to Death Stranding up until it came out. And I was like, oh, this game doesn't sound interesting anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, all the trailers were so weird. All those weird trailers, that takes place like in the first hour of the game.
That's just Kojima, baby.
You just gotta... You're naked on the beach with the baby inside you. That's in the first hour.
You just gotta anticipate the Kojima.
So yeah. I'll probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Oh, you're actually ranking them too.
Yeah, bro, I actually ranking
them too.
It's like a 7 out of 10 right now. It could go up, could go down. I haven't beaten it yet. I'm like maybe
all
halfway.
of mine's are 10s.
No, they're not. My next game on my list is another Resident Evil game that came. This one actually came out in 2020.
You have 2 Resident Evil games on your list.
One came out this year. One came out 2 years ago.
No, last year. 1 year ago. Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 came out in March, like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I went to go buy it because I wanted to play it. I remember going to pick it up, and this is around the time they started requiring face masks. Mm-hmm. So it was weird. I was like, man, I'm going to get a store wearing a face mask. Actually, no. I think I was like one of the only people wearing a face mask at the time.
RIP.
So I don't think it was mandated yet. Resident Evil 3, it's like a mixed bag for me. Mm-hmm. It's really fun. And the levels are really great, but it's really short. It's like 4. You can beat it in probably 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And Nemesis he's cool at first, but then I was kind of hoping that they would use him kind of to use Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 and kind of build off of that and make him like scarier. Mm-hmm. And they don't. And he after like your first couple encounters with him, he kind of becomes a cutscene boss fight only villain, which kind of sucked. But his fights are really cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. I mean, you haven't played it yet. I think you should play it. I would just wait because it's like $60 is expensive. I probably wait till it's like 40 or 50 or 40 or 30, and I think $30 to $40 I've been better with it.
Yeah, I think realistically it probably should have been a $40 game with the content that's there. I mean, Resident Evil 3 itself as a game, like even the original, is kind of a mixed bag to be honest.
Yeah,
like everybody remembers Nemesis. Because of
the great movie, right?
Resident Evil Apocalypse was so good.
They brought Nemesis to the forefront.
No, like just because Nemesis, like, kind of it makes you terrified even when you're in a save room. Like literally nowhere is safe for you.
And that does not happen in this game.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same impact.
I think one thing we talked about Resident Evil episode was that. Well, at least with like Resident Evil 2, there was a point where I was like, man, I have no ammo. I've got to fight. Mr. X is coming around chasing me. What can I do? I can't defend myself. There's zombies. There's stuff like that. Yeah. And then this game, I never felt that. I had ammo constantly. I was always loaded. I could take down Nemesis before a boss fight. Like, knock him to his feet and just walk around him like no big deal. And that's kind of where it kind of... And then the length is kind of disappointing. But character design, I like a lot. I like the story. I just wish it was a little longer. Other than that, I mean, I think it's a fun game. I played it twice. I played it back to back. I beat it and then played it again. I've been thinking about playing it a third time because I played Resident Evil 2 like 4 times technically. So I could probably give Resident Evil 3 a 7 out of 10 as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe like a 7.3 out of 10. So it's like
bring Jill back, Capcom. Put her in Resident Evil 8. Or I riot.
All right. Number 8 on my list is Last of Us Part 2. Baby, we're talking about the same things you talked about pretty much. I mean, I think everything we've went over this a lot.
Sorry about
I didn't care about spoilers, so when the leaks came out, I read all of them and I watched the clips and everything. I was like, dang, that sucks that Joel dies, but I didn't really care that much in terms of like.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a terrible decision. People like hate the decision.
Did you say Jill or Joel?
Joel.
Okay, I thought you said Jill. I was like,
Joel.
Are you still talking about Resident Evil 3?
I didn't hate the decision. I thought it made sense in the story.
Oh yeah,
and it
absolutely.
still makes sense even when you play it in context. It still makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think that people were upset because you need to spend a lot of time with Joel. Mm-hmm. But if you actually play the game, you kind of do in flashbacks. You get a lot of levels where you spend time with Joel, and it feels like the original Last of Us. And and I guess people just didn't want to hear that. But what else? There's not much else we could say. I think it's a good game.
Yeah.
Okay, so one part is you're here. Day 2 of Abby gets freaking wild, and it just drives me crazy that you're like right there on the verge of it being just like basically turned into a Resident Evil game. And I keep telling you, you just got to get to this part because it's the craziest part, and it blows my mind.
Okay, I could do that, or I could play
Destiny.
I could play Destiny 2, or I could play Kingdom Hearts 2 for the 350th time.
I hate you. Yeah, and then like I was telling you, like day 1 of Abby feels like a game, and then Abby's story feels like a game. Ellie's story feels like a own game, and then there's another extra last like 6 hours of gameplay. It feels like one other game, and you still gotta get through all that. But
I want to die.
Number 7. Okay, Last of Us 2, probably like a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
All right.
Not game of the year.
Not game of the year. So now we're gonna get into number 7. I kind of cheated a little bit. I put Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Boo!
Because I feel like they're basically an extension of the same game.
I mean, you're not wrong though.
Nothing's really changed.
You're not wrong.
The gameplay is the same except for Miles gets he gets electric shock.
Yeah.
Which Spider-Man could get, Peter could get in the first game. He could get it, but in a suit.
Yeah.
There's some suits that you can have a power up where you can shock people, and then in this game it's like part of Miles' powers and invisibility. I think one thing I do like, if I could rank the two, like they're both 8s. I probably put Miles Morales just slightly above the original Spider-Man because one, it's shorter. I thought Spider-Man was the open worldness of the first Spider-Man was, I think
it does kind of start to burden.
I really think that the best open world game that I've played, where I've completed every single side mission and did like 100% into 100%, was Batman Arkham Knight, because the side missions they're different enough from each other. And the issue I had with Spider-Man was that a lot of the side missions were clear this building out of bad guys. Clear this building out of bad guys.
Yeah, that's
clear this building out of bad guys.
That's true.
And then with Spider-Man Miles Morales, they cut those down a lot. Like, a lot. I think there's only 2 missions that are like that. And then the rest are really unique and fun. Like, track this truck, get these toys back for these kids. Obviously, there's another pigeon one again, which I thought was a fun in the other game. And then one thing is Spider-Man, the first one, there was stealth moments, but then if you're out of stealth, you could hardly get back into stealth. With Miles Morales, if you lose your stealth, you can go invisible, you're back in stealth mode, and then you can hide, and then they'll
Miles is just better.
So, both those games, I think they're 8 out of 10s for me.
Yeah. I would concur. I think.
Yeah. Well, I think you should play Miles Morales. It's only like $40. No. I think that's a perfect price for it. It's short. I beat it in like 8 hours.
I'm trying to wait until I get a PS5 to play it, but
it's never gonna happen, man. I'm telling you, just get it, because then you can just replay it on PS5.
That's true. I could free upgrade.
You get the free upgrade. All right. So that's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yep. All right. What you got next, bud?
Super old game, I think from like
2009. Yeah.
Uncharted 2.
Oh my god.
So again, I just got a PlayStation 4, so I bought all the Uncharted games because I never played them. I've always wanted to, and I sat down and I played 1 through 4. I haven't played Lost Legacy yet. I want to play it.
Xbox fanboy plays PlayStation classics. Oh man. This was my favorite. This was my favorite Uncharted until 4.
Yeah. Same. Of the 3. So like I liked the first one. It was super rough. Like I figured like if I played it when I was a kid or when it first came out, I probably would have liked it a lot more replaying it. but playing for the first time on the remastered version, it was hard to get through.
Yeah.
Just because the controls, and then Uncharted 2 fixes all those, and it was like,
And there's
chef kiss.
Yeah. There's a lot more variety. The characters are...
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about the way that Uncharted 2... Like, the way the dialogue flows. The way the characters interact with each other.
The level design is great.
The level design.
Like I know a lot of people, from when I'm reading online, like Reddit, fan groups and stuff like that, is that they compare it to the Batman games.
Yeah,
where
like Arkham Asylum
Arkham
City.
Asylum versus Arkham City, where Arkham Asylum is a good game, and Arkham City just blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. Uncharted was a fun game. It was good.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2, way better.
That's exactly how
I
I felt when I was playing these games. Yeah.
So Uncharted 2 made my list. I think it's probably be on my list of some of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
And then Uncharted, I guess going to tell you about Uncharted 3 was huge. I did not like it.
Yeah. It's definitely like, I think it's better than 1 for me, but it's like there's just a tiny bit of like it's just too much. It's too much of a good thing.
I think with Uncharted, especially because for some, I guess my remaster, it was super glitchy, and it just made it way worse.
Were you playing the Nathan Drake collection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one I have.
It was just a glitchy mess, and it was like characters would be bullet sponges, where like normally you kill them pretty quickly or whatever. Bullet sponges, and like ridiculous. I'm like, what's happening? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. They would disappear. There was times where I would fall just while walking through, like going to like trying to get somewhere. I would just fall through the ground and just die.
Oh wow!
Or when I'm climbing, I would climb and then I fall forward through the ground, through the wall, and just keep falling.
Shit.
Audio issues, like audio would cut out constantly.
Yeah.
AI issue. It was just it was a mess.
But like bugs aside, like the game itself is still not.
No, I think
it's not as good as 2.
I think it would be maybe around 1, but with all the bugs I had, it definitely dropped it down to really low. So yeah, those are my
Uncharted 2. Where would you?
Uncharted 2 again, number 6 on my list. I'd probably give that like a 8.5 or a 9.
Okay.
You know,
I accept that ranking.
I would say 9. I'd say basically everything up here is going to be 9 or a 10 out of 10.
As an Uncharted fanboy, I will accept that ranking.
Uncharted 2 is a 9 out of 10. All right, God of War is next on my list. Number 5. You talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I think I had the same problems with God of War as I did with Spider-Man. In terms of like open worldness, and a lot of the open world stuff was kind of the same, where like you fight a certain type of creature. It's either going to be like a wolf, or it's going to be like a big troll, or the Valkyries were super hard, so I didn't do the Valkyries.
The Valkyries are some of the most challenging combat I've ever experienced.
You know, and I just got to the point where I was like, the side missions I really don't care that much about. I'm just gonna.
Did you ever do any of the? Did you go to? I think it's Niflheim is the fog one, and then Muspelheim is the fire one. Those are kind of like alternate planes. But like one of them is basically like a combat challenge arena, and then one of them is like this one where you have to collect mists in an environment, and you only have like a limited amount of oxygen. Like the air is toxic essentially, so you have to get stuff and get out, and then you're upgrading stuff so you can stay in longer.
Yeah,
and
I didn't do any of those. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go try those.
The bonus stuff is actually it's unique. I think like it's not something like the combat one. Like there have been combat challenges and other.
Yeah.
But the Niflheim stuff where you're staying in and just trying to get as much as possible to survive. Yeah. I don't think I've played a game with that exact gameplay loop. I guess the side content is unique or some of it at least is unique in my opinion.
Well, for me, a lot of my love of the game was the story, and then the one cut, there's no cut look to it, which also is what like Hellblade does, where it's like over the shoulder, and then it goes into a cutscene, and the camera moves around, and it moves back to over the shoulder. Yeah, it does that same style where there's no like different angle or whatever. Right. And I think that it works well in both games, and again, both games are like Norse mythology, so it's kind of cool to get like I think I liked it a lot. Loved it. Probably give it like a 9 out of 10. My next thing on my list, Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4.
Here
Oh
we're
my
gonna get
god.
into our.
This was the second game that I was like, you have to play this game.
Yeah.
This
This game was awesome.
Yeah.
Basically, everything I loved about Uncharted 2. Just times 10.
Yeah.
It's like Uncharted 2 was Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4 is Arkham City.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly.
It was a great
how
bounce
it
back, especially because like when I finished Uncharted 3, I finished like in 2 days, and I was like, do I really want to play Uncharted 4? Just give it a break. And I was like, oh, just power through, you can do it. And then I was like, I'm in love. This game is awesome.
Yes.
It's so good. The story is great. The characters are great.
Ugh.
Seeing Nathan Drake's conclusion and then playing, as his daughter at the end was like...
Oh, that gave me all the feels. I think
it was great that it didn't end on a sad note, that it was happy. And it was like a warm feeling at the end.
Yeah. But there's also like maybe an expectation that the series continues on from like their daughter's perspective. Yeah. I don't know.
Or, you like Lost Legacy, where it's like his brother Sam and other characters you meet along the way. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say. I think it's a great game.
Yeah.
It
should have won 2016 Game of the Year over Overwatch.
Overwatch won the year?
Overwatch won 2016 Game of the Year, and I have never forgiven them for that.
No, yeah, I thought it was great. Fantastic. Next on my list, another 10 out of 10 game for me. I played this game in January of this year. I got it for Christmas last year, remember? Because I really wanted it.
Yeah.
And I played it in January, and it was incredible. People call it the Dark Souls of Star Wars. And I agree.
What could you be referring to?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is an incredible game. It's super hard. I played on a really hard difficulty setting. And I was like, I died so freaking much. I like constantly died, and I was like, oh my god.
It's funny that you dove into this game after hearing all the bad PR about EA's other Star Wars games.
So that's why I didn't buy it when it came out.
Yeah.
And then I got it I asked it for Christmas because I heard that there were people like, well, actually, but Fallen Order is a really good game, and I was like, dang it, now I gotta get it because I got the first Battlefront. Again, I didn't buy it. I got it for Christmas. And it was fun, but it wasn't worth the $60.
Yeah.
Like, kind of jip, whatever. So I skipped Battlefront 2, and then again, Fallen Order came out. I didn't buy it, and I heard it was great, and I was like, I should ask it for Christmas, and it was really good. And I was like, oh my god, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I really grew. For me, in I guess because it came out in 2019, but I played it in 2020. So like in my mind, Fallen Order was the best Star Wars media to come out of 2019, and then The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then, after some really soul-searching and alcoholic drinking, and you dig up the grave of Rise of Skywalker, and it's like 50 feet below, and that's where Rise of Skywalker rests.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You haven't played it yet. You should play
it. I haven't
great.
played it yet. I need to. There's a lot of good Star Wars media outside of the movies.
You feel like you're a Jedi.
Jedi. Oh my god! I have to play it now. I'm gonna go download it right now.
I think what's so cool is that the main actor, is the dude from Gotham.
Joker. Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's like Gotham's version of the Joker.
Yeah, the actor. I forget his name. Cameron something or something.
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah. He's great in the game. It's a really emotional performance because it takes place in between.
It's in between 3 and 4.
Revenge of the Sith and New Hope.
Because he was like a Padawan who escaped the Purge.
You get to see like Order 66, and then he gets found out that he's a Jedi, so he's on the run, and that's basically the whole game is on the run and trying to collect an important item. Yeah. Great game. I love it.
Yeah.
I recommend. I think they just optimized it for next gen, so I'm excited to get a new console, replay it on my Xbox Series X if I get one.
That game is also beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
the art design.
All the worlds are unique. I think they added some free DLC too, like some free worlds that you can visit to explore. Nice. It's great, and I think they add so much to the lore. I highly recommend it if you're a Star Wars fan, and then if you just like video games. 10 out of 10. My next game on the list. It's March. Again.
Set the scene.
Pandemic is raging on. GameStops are closing. They're not accepting. It's like there are like 2 people come to the store at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm over here worried. It's March 20th. There's a big game coming out, and I'm like, I need to go pick up the game So it's like March. Like
You're
18th.
talking about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
And I go and I'm like, hey, I call on the phone. I'm like, hey, I know tomorrow's Thursday for the pickup for Doom. Can I pick it up? Are you guys gonna be open? And they're like, just come get it right now. And I was like, shit, GameStop. All right, I will. And I went and picked up my game, Doom Eternal.
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
like the second or the first, I would say, of the two big games of March 2020.
Yeah, definitely Animal Crossing was way bigger. But I think they were saying that it was like the highest grossing Bethesda id Software game, right, or something like that. Or
really?
Biggest launch for id, I think.
Damn.
Which is crazy because it was still overshadowed by Animal Crossing by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it was still the highest selling Doom id game or whatever is pretty cool. I loved it. Obviously, it's not as good as Doom 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good, but it's a lot of fun. You rip and tear. The music is still incredible. The gore is still incredible. Highly recommend it. So if you haven't played it yet, get it. And then also the new DLC came out, the Ancient Gods, and it is hard. Like I thought I was like, okay, I'm getting pretty good at Doom, and then it's like the guy laughing at me like, you think you're good?
You think you're good at Doom?
You're just an amateur. And
Peasant.
I was like, oh god, yeah. And it just kicked my butt. Doom Eternal was great. Doom Eternal, the Ancient Gods, really good. New villains, new bad guys, stuff like that. It's all good. And you have nothing to add because you haven't played it yet.
I don't care about spoilers.
There's no spoiler.
Oh.
The game is you're the Doomslayer.
Yeah.
And you.
I mean, I know this one's a little bit more story heavy, I think, than 2016, but
I don't know. I think it's about the same. I think what's cool though is that you can actually change your outfits.
yeah.
So I'm constantly like I was like the original Doom. My favorite is Doomicorn or Doomicron, where you're a unicorn. You're like bright and pink and yellow
What the fuck?
and white. Yeah,
That's
and you have a
great.
horn. It actually keeps you that way in cutscenes too. So it's like a really
Nice.
like dramatic like cutscene, and you're like you're just like a unicorn.
Nice.
It's great. And they introduced these new villains called the Marauders. They're tough. They're like basically like Doom Slayers that were converted to the evil side or whatever, to the devil. And
Mm-hmm.
so you got to fight them and stuff. Great game. Highly recommend it if you haven't played it.
Game of the year, though.
Like Game of the Year of 2020.
Yeah.
For me, yes. Of games that came out in 2020.
Like in the because it was in the Game Awards.
yes, I would have. That's what I voted for. I voted for Doom
Eternal. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And number
one game.
on my list. It's a game. It makes you feel like you're in a zombie apocalypse. It's Resident Evil 2.
You should review games professionally, Sergio.
It makes you feel like you're a game reviewer. Resident Evil 2. Not much to say about it. We said everything there is to say.
Yeah.
Really. But I played it in January. I think I bought it around Christmas time. And I played it in January, and I played it like 4 times. Of course, I played it 4 times because I play as Leon, then you play as Claire, and then when quarantine happened, I went back after I beat Resident Evil 3,
stories.
and I played Leon and Claire again.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, funny anecdote though since we're talking about Resident Evil 2 again. So the way I bought Resident Evil 2 was I bought it digitally over the PlayStation Store because the pandemic was raging and I didn't want to go out. You know.
Did I play before you?
I think you did.
Wow,
I think you
surprised.
did.
I thought you played the remaster.
No,
before.
I bought it. I think I bought it in June, if I recall. And I got it on the PlayStation Store, and I thought I was getting it for a pretty sweet deal. Like I got it for like
It was like $30, right?
$30 or $40
and
or
then
something
it went on
like
sale
that.
For like $10.
Well, okay, yeah. So the thing was, it was the base game was on sale, and then like the next day, the Ultimate Edition was on sale for the same price that I just bought the base game. And I was like, fuck me, I guess. Like, just... So, yeah. So, I only got the base version. But still, I mean, the base version is great. Like, but, yeah. So, like, you would say Resident Evil 2, 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10?
Yeah. Number one game I played this year. It was my 2019 Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, of course, it didn't come out. I didn't get it until this year. But
Yeah.
Between Resident Evil and Star Wars, I think you've had 2 really good games in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Amongst probably a
yeah.
bunch of other games, yeah.
And then I guess I just want to wrap this show up with what is one game 100% confirmed coming out in 2021 that you're looking forward to the most?
God of War Ragnarok.
Is it confirmed for 2021?
Yes. Yeah, they confirmed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's called Ragnarok, but I'm assuming because they're like Ragnarok is here,
Coming, yeah.
like or whatever. I'm pretty sure the subtitle is gonna be God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Microsoft Flight Simulator. No, I am excited for that game, but for me, I think my most hyped game is probably Halo Infinite. Obviously,
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought it would be okay. I would have said Resident Evil 8.
That's up there, but I mean, I've been a Halo fan longer than
That's
Resident Evil
true.
fan.
That's true. Yeah.
And it sucks because Halo 5 sucked so much that I'm hesitant to see. But I feel like the fact that they were willing, and the fact that Microsoft said yes, you can delay for basically a whole year, I think it's a good sign.
Hopefully,
I think it's a good sign because I mean.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man.
I think we're seeing what's happening with Cyberpunk. For one, I think that's why they said fall, because originally it was like we're delaying and there was no time.
Yeah.
And then just literally just within the past couple of days, they're like fall 2021.
Right.
Which is,
I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I hope it's good because I would really love a good Halo game again. Yeah. Like honestly, to convince myself to actually get an Xbox.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the Medium, I think, is that comes out like next month. And
yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well.
All right. Well, that's
it for 2020. I hope 2020 burns in hell.
Yeah. Here's to 2021.
The games are good, and 2021 is going to have many great games for us.
Oh yeah. I mean, God, the lineup is so good right now.
Yeah. I'm excited, and we'll see you later. We'll see you guys. Have a happy New Year. We love you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Spotify now. Facebook, Twitter.
Twitter.
All those places that you reach out and talk to people. Talk to us.
Feel like you're on social media.
Yeah. Just talk to us. We're always here for you.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace.